No! Get him out of there! Get him out of there! Well, that was traumatizing. Click. Oh boy. The timelines are interacting again. Ooh, do you hear anything interesting? Don't be so nosy, Aradia. Aradia throws her legs over the edge of the ancient meteor facility and kicks them out into open space. Far below her feet, the meteor is wildly overgrown. It landed here millions of years ago after its fateful 3-year journey when it hosted several trolls and humans as they had a variety of critical coming-of-age experiences. It will lay here for millions more years, where it will remain indefinitely on a barren, desolate Earth sea, waiting to host a single cherub child chained to its bedroom. But for now, it hosts these 3. Dead Jade, whose body also appears to be hosting a cherub at the moment, is doing the same thing she does every day, sitting with her legs crossed and her eyes closed, using her still teenage body to scry into the abyss. The light from the outer rim of the stratosphere casts her face a powdery blue light. It's certainly more becoming avatar for Calliope, most would find. The Calliope who Roxy calls a friend, in her moments of greatest self-reproach, would die for a body like this. The version of Calliope who's been dead for eons, however, waiting for exactly this moment in history to reinstate her corporeal presence, couldn't care less about her host's appearance. It simply is serving as a functional vessel for the crucial role she must now play. What would you classify as interesting? Oh, the usual. Death, romance, sounds of feats of destruction and chaos. Tell me what's happening in the dream bubbles, oh great muse. Please don't. Very well, let's see. I think I'm dying. Oh no, what happened? Nothing, that's the problem. I've been out here so long I can't even remember how much time has passed. I'm out of supplies and I have no idea where I am. And I'm starting to think some really crazy things. Like maybe none of it's real. Yes, how did you know? I've been thinking the same thing too recently. Lots of crazy things. And keeping them to myself is making me feel crazy. So the thought just gets crazier. Yeah, I can't remember the sound of anyone's voice but my own. Well, your voice is pretty unforgettable. Are you negging me, Egbert? Maybe. Pretty lackluster, but I'm flattered you think my voice is adorable. No, I was obviously implying that your voice was annoying. Come on. I got that, but since it was a lame neg, you were actually suggesting the opposite, which means you think it's cute, right? I'm sorry, Your Honor, but the defense would like to plead the right to stop talking about this. First of all, I've already explained on numerous occasions defense isn't a thing in my culture, exactly which candy-coated legal tradition are you trying to reference here? I don't know. I just said a thing that sounded like lawyery, you know, like a joke. Do you remember jokes, Terezi, or did you forget those too? I'm just curious about this pathetically soft legal traditions on your old planet. One can at least hope your new planet has figured out a judicial system that has more teeth. Yeah, I think Earthsea has been getting out there lately. You have no idea how much this warms my pump biscuit to hear. Well, I'm glad at least you're getting a kick out of it. Please, John, I don't have much anymore. Just let me have this. Okay. For someone who's suffering so much, you sure seem like you're full of salt and vinegar out there. Are you sure you're dying? Yeah, I'm sure. Aradia leans over and sticks her nose into dead Jane's face. She watches how her eyebrows wrinkle at the center just a bit. So, what do you see? Nothing I would describe as interesting. Please stop distracting me. Okay, if that's what you really want. It is. Aradia, could you stop bothering her? What are you even doing here? Serving like the attendants for this super ancient and wise goddess or whatever she is? If all of you're gonna do is get in her face and hassle her about whatever cool stuff she's going on in her visions. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just really curious. No sign of her yet? No. Terezi, seriously, it's been years here. When are you gonna give up and accept that she's probably what? You know, dead? Terezi, Vriska's dead and none of us are going to see her or hear from her ever again. Not even you. And you know what I think? I think that even if you did find Vriska, it wouldn't matter because I don't think she'd even deserves your friendship anymore. Oh? If she cared about you as much as you care about her, she wouldn't have screwed off like this forever, driving you crazy with doubt and uncertainty, making you chase her through infinite nothingness until you almost starved to death. She would have at least given you the courtesy of closure. That's not what Vriska is like, John. Yeah, I guess not. So why are you still trying so hard? Aradia stretches her arms over her head and yawns. She launches from her perch at the edge of the meteor facility with a little somersault, coasting through the air so that she's level with Solix's face. She gives one of his horns a light tap to affirm her proximity. She talks in 5-word sentences, so even I'm still in the dark about what it is she's really trying to accomplish. From what I've pieced together, she needs to stay in these trances or we're all doomed. Aradia, being doomed is all I used to ever talk about. Even I've chilled out on that stuff by now. So you don't believe her? Shrug. All I'm doing here is keeping you company, like usual. The work is important. See? Okay, at least she could do is tell us why we're all doomed. Doom is not a word I would use to describe the condition of those on this world. Even if my work were unsuccessful, the stakes of everyone here having nothing to do with the issue of morality. To frame the matter, that would be misleading. To the extent that it is my naturally endowed duty to defend the innocent from wanton acts of destruction, from degradation and disillusion. It is also my duty to tell the truth to those I protect, and the simplest statements of truth for all of you to know is this. We are the lucky ones. Calliope lets out a long, thin sigh from between the teeth of Jade's corpse. It's made more for effect than anything, as corpses don't actually need to breathe. We are the ones fortunate enough to live in a reality that is beyond the influence of the prince. Who the heck is the prince? Oh, wow. I've never told anyone this before. Well, not anyone who cared enough to listen at least. But for a long time, I felt like there's something wrong with me. Like I'm missing something important. The thing that everyone else allows them to be satisfied with the way things are. Like there's a huge void inside my heart, and I'll never have what I need to be happy. Not by myself, at least. Does that sound stupid? No, I feel like that too. Felt that way for years, like maybe I died. Or maybe everyone died back in the medium and I'm the only one who realizes it. Like I'm the kind of kid in the movie where Bruce Willis is dead and it's just a surprise at the end. Except Ghost John crawled back inside my skin and he's wearing it like a Halloween costume, and that's where there's a huge hole inside of me. Maybe that's why it feels like you're the only person who understands me anymore. Because we've both got big howling ghost holes inside of us, and talking to each other makes it feel less lonely. That's what we did, Terezi. We filled each other's holes. Well, that's going to be taken out of context. What? Reread what you just wrote, idiot. Ugh, Terezi, get your mind out of the gutter. I thought we were having a serious moment here. John, I am serious. I think this is the end for me. I'm dizzy and sick and I can't smell straight. I feel like I could just lay down in the endless sea of nothing and just go to sleep. At this point, it would almost be a relief if I didn't wake up. You don't have to do that, Terezi. You could just come home. Please come home. Then what? I don't know. We hang out and stuff. John, you still don't get it. Earthsea is not my home. Do you really miss Alternia that bad? I did for a long time. More than Karkat and Kanaya did, at least. But I have no idea anymore. Alternia, Vriska, Scrub, I'm so confused about what I want. I thought that not killing her would make me feel better, but instead it's like I retconned a huge chunk out of my soul and erased an action of regret and grief. I just turned it into something I can't stop chasing after. Maybe what I did was necessary to save everyone else, but it sure didn't save me. So maybe that means the only thing left to do is to let her go. I can't, John, not even while I'm on death's door, apparently. Terezi, I think it's time for me to go. Goodbye, John. No, don't go, please. Please don't do this. If you just go off and die, I never hear from you again. I don't think I can handle that. John, stop this. You're embarrassing both of us. Terezi, if you had no intent of ever coming home, why did you ever bother calling me? Are you really telling me that you didn't want to talk me out of... Are you really telling me that you didn't want me to talk you out of it? I really didn't. Then what did you want? Let's just say I wanted to give you the courtesy of closure. Dead Jade's eyes slowly flutter open. She gets to her feet and brushes down her skirt. Are you done working for the day? The work is never finished, not until I'm able to deal with the prince myself. And when will that be? The meteor is passing beyond the fall of night. Dead Jade, standing half in light, half in darkness, looks up at the sky. Not soon enough. Oh no. Oh, I see. Okay. Swifer, can you... Karkat winces at the ground above him, shakes and scatters of dirt and debris rain down from the roof of the cave. His fledgling rebellion has found a cover in the spiderweb network of tunnels running to and from the troll's capital, originally built to accommodate the transit of incestuous slurry from the boonies to the mother grub. Though technically regarded as a critical infrastructure project, the caves have never been used or appropriately surveyed by the world government. Back when all were on better terms, Jane was gracious enough to believe the maps Kanaya handed over were anything approaching accurate. With the tunnel entrances at the brood pits sealed, the rebellion was safe for now. But the presidential drones were testing the grounds restlessly, closer and closer, every day now. Okay, so maybe on Alternia, they used tunnels to reach the grubs, so they didn't need drones. Don't know why drones were a thing then, except, of course, yeah, this was the Condis, so she needed all of the things, like all of the responsibilities. It's not the dirt that's bothering him. Dirt is something you get used to, living hand to mouth inside a cave. It's that persistent leak above his desk that's driving him to distraction. Swifer! Swifer Eggmop pokes her head out of the chamber. Aye, Commander. What's up? Karkat pinches the bridge of his nose. For the last time, don't call me that. Why not, Commander? You're the commander, ain't you? No, I'm not the commander. Did I ever ask to be in charge? How many letters is in commander? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 letters. Adult names are usually 8, right? So that just kind of ruins it. I might need to check that information. Did I ever ask to be in charge? Did I ever accept an official appointment from some ostentatious military board? Have I ever successfully led a campaign against the increasingly oppressive regime that we suffer under on the daily basis? The answer to all these questions is categorically and catastrophically no. Well, gee, Commander, I think it's more of a symbolic title representing how much faith everyone has in you. What faith? Just as discussed, I haven't done a dang thing to earn anyone's faith. So far as all this troll rebellion has amounted to is a whole lot of nothing, with an additional side of jack squat, followed up by a final course of getting to watch our top analyst, Clipper Borden, getting forced to dance to avoid life imprisonment in a labor camp on live television and making a complete idiot of himself. Karkat gestures towards the display screen showing a commercial for the next episode of Doing the Charleston with Notable Social Figureheads, Stars versus Enemies of the State with your host, Jake English. Swiper's taciturn broodmate Clipper is indeed making an absolute fool of himself in the recap from the previous week's show, flailing to keep time with the jaunty beat and struggling to knock his knees together with required vigor. The fact that he is shackled at the wrists doesn't seem to be helping. Poor Clipper. He could record a stat like nobody's business, but no one ever taught the boy how to dance. If only we knew, this could have been avoided. No, he shouldn't have to dance if he doesn't want to. We can leave that stuff behind. Your friends don't dance. They ain't no friends of mine. Nope. Oh. But what's the point if I can't even save one of my lieutenants from mortifying public embarrassment followed by a lifetime of hard labor in the cake mills? If I can't protect members of the so-called resistance from the fickle and cruel vagaries of Jane's insane pastry-based shadow dictatorship, how are we supposed to protect the common people? Swiper frowns and tugs the kerchief around her neck. Golly, look, Commander, that's a big question that I think you gotta take up with someone more in the know than myself. I just swift the floors. Oh yeah, right. Speaking of which, the leak in the ceiling? Karkat throws both hands in the air melodramatically. A drop of stale water plops onto one of his nubby little horns. You know, right above the place where we keep all of our fragile logistics equipment. Didn't I tell you to fix that a week ago? Well, sir, you told me to take care of it, and I sure as heck took care of it. Then why is it still leaking? Oh, by fix you meant you wanted to plug the crack. What the hell did you think I meant? I thought you meant for me to mop up the water that had gathered and then use the water to swift the bejeebus out of the floors, which by all accounts is what I did. Karkat gapes at her open mouth. She grins back, unaware of any mistake on her part. The only thing he can do is bury his face in his palms. You know what? I'm going to get some fresh air. By the time I get back, I expect the hole in the ceiling to be swift the heck closed, or at the very least put a bucket under the leak or something. Sir, oh my gosh, a bucket? Should we be seen consorting with a bucket together? Oh my gosh, grow up, Egg Mop. He stalks past his blushing assistant with a belabored sigh. Karkat has lived with humans for so long, he's grown used to seeing buckets regularly defiled. Now that he thinks about it, he realizes Jade has used more buckets to grow snap peas in their living room than any other troll has used it for purposes of reproduction in the entire history of Earthsea. The bucket taboo is largely emblematic at this point, an empty signifier of an endangered culture. As he stomps through the winding tunnels, thinking very hard about this incredibly tragic thing, his speaker crab crackles to life. Well, that was a lot. Oh, crap. I didn't realize you were still on the line. We hadn't finished our conversation about the clandestine transportation of the mother grub, which I hope you realize is still... Ow, I hit the mic. Which I hope you realize is still an operation of the grave importance, at least on par with the terrible threat of the leak in your office. Sorry, I have a kind of a lot going on right now. I can see that. Please do not be so hard on Swifer. She really does try her best. Yeah, I know. To be honest, that wasn't about Swifer at all, or even about the leak. Yes, Karkat, that was obvious. Rose and I have been following the dance-off tribunals very closely this month. Your lieutenant does not have a chance. But do not let it weigh heavily on you. Everyone who joins the rebellion knows that being exiled to the cake mills is a very real possibility if they're caught. That includes you, Karkat. If you bear the responsibility for the lives of every member of the rebellion, you'll crack under the stress. And as much as you are loath to admit it, you are the face of this movement. Yeah. I hate it, but you're right. Screw you, you're always right. As my wife likes to tell me often. Screw her, she's always right too. How the hell do you two tolerate each other? Quite thoroughly, enthusiastically, and often. Oh wow, okay, that's enough for you today. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to rub my interspecies happiness in your face. I understand that it's a sore subject. The only thing that's sore is my eavesdrop funnels from listening to your endless mothering. Karkat, I'm sure that if you were to just don't call Dave and ask him to join you, wow, there's another cave-in I hear happening suddenly all around me, he would be by your side in an instant. Kanaya, we're being overrun by Imperial drones. It's horrible. There's a death and fire everywhere, and also I can't hear a word you're saying. So if you were ever to attempt to reference this conversation in the future, I would have no idea what you're talking about. So it would probably be best for everyone involved if you drop the subject and never mention it again. Okay, Karkat, have a good walk. I'll talk to you about the mother grub tomorrow. Goodbye and take care. Oh yeah, you take care too. Talk to you tomorrow. Karkat makes extra triple sure that he's actually hung up on Kanaya for real this time by fiddling with the tiny claw on his speaker crab until it's in the off position. The action of tuning his outdated wristwatch is interrupted by another earthquake rumbling around him. This one sounds different, however. He knows the sound of a drone strike from the back of his hand by now. It's a low, creeping bellow that pulses through the ground in waves. This sounds more like an impact that's left a crater. The last time something struck the planet that hard, it was Jade's creepy undead corpse. Karkat runs for the nearest exit and cautiously pokes his head out into the clearing above. There's a figure in the smoke. Her stumbling silhouette includes an unmistakable pair of horns. She takes 2 steps out of her crater before falling flat on her face. Again. Karkat runs to help her, putting her arm over his shoulders and dragging her out from the dust cloud from the impact. Mina, what the hell are you doing here? Meat time! Hold on. Spoilers for meat. Here we go. So that's where Mina went. Anyway, back we go. Mina blinks at him with a pair of eyes that seem different to him somehow, but he can't put his finger on it. He has to admit it. It's been a long time since he saw her. She seems singed, woozy, but mostly undamaged. Whoa, Shady McNubbs, that you? That's still not my name, but yeah. Nice. What happened to fighting Lord English? What, did that work out, or? Nah, it was a total wash. Oh. Karkat continues inspecting her without much concern for coming across as weird. He knows something's off about her, he just can't figure out what. Then a reflective gleam catches his eye, a gold ring on her finger. He glances back to look at her eyes. They aren't blank like all the other fallen ghosts' eyes are. Wait a minute, are you alive? Yeah, son, I'm back. Where the heck did you get the ring? Wait, you didn't. Mina, did you rob Calliope? Who? The girl with the huge green skull for a head? That was her ring. It was under the impression she needed that to live. No. Nah, man. That's not hers. I got it from some other total sucker. Who? Don't matter. Complete bonehead chump you ain't be hearing from again. Mina, are you lying to me? Nubs, I wouldn't do that to you. Not after all this time. Your girl's fine. This is my own dang ring. Capizies? Karkat side-eyes the revived heiress, flinching only slightly at the last pun, but before offering a reluctant nod. What are you up to? Well, that's like a whole explanation. Explain away, Nubby. I'm sorry, I'm sort of in the middle of staging a wide-scale grassroots rebellion against an increasingly authoritarian global hegemony that is oppressing our people. Mina leans in, assessing Karkat with a rapacious shark-toothed grin. It seems that whatever she's seeing in this older, battle-hardened version of Karkat impresses her. She starts laughing, big and bright. She slaps him so hard on the shoulder that he nearly falls down. Ah! Now that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I could use a new second in command. Actually, you'd be my second in command. No offense or anything, but my face is already on the posters. Also, I don't exactly have the most confidence in your command abilities, considering the last time I saw you, you were talking big about how you were going to take down Lord English, and now you're eating dirt on our terrible new planet, looking pretty defeated. But to be honest, I need all the help I can get. Oh yeah, no problem. I'll be your second guy. You will? Flip yes. Wow. Yeah, dude, just point me where the action is at. I don't even give a crap. What are the orders, boss? Okay, this is like, I'm not even sure how to say this. I'm actually really flattered and kind of sincerely honored that you of all people want to follow me. It's like completely not at all what You're ruining it, dude. Oh, sorry. I mean, hey, fish idiot. Who, me? Yes, you, the fallen fascist with the stolen ring. Get in line before I put you in line. Oh. Oh, wow. Yes! Yes, sir! Karkat reaches out and takes her hand. She has a very firm handshake, so firm that Karkat winces an eye shut when she squeezes in hopes that she doesn't notice how much his smile has turned into a grimace. Above them, the sky tears open again and again. A new wave of ghosts pours in from Mina's doomed assault. Well, here comes the cavalry. No, caviarly. Well, here comes the caviar. That works so much better in typing than it does in speaking. The what? The caviar. I'm also ordering you to stop making puns. Fish puns. Forever. You can't do that. That's basically all they do, that entire family. All these Pisces. John stares at his phone for a while, thumb pressed to the space just below the send message button. He realizes he's not dwelling so much on the content he's hesitating to send, which now that he's looking at it, seems no less vapid than anything he tends to bother Resi with online, as he is on the nature of his correspondence they have, and his particular semi-annual need to bother her in this way at all. What is this relationship they have, he wonders. Does he even care that much? Does she? If he doesn't care that much and there's nothing to do about it, then why does he do it? Why does he seem to put care into the nonsense he badgers her with? He supposes he could ask the same of many features in his life. Why does he care? Why does he put the time in? Why can't you shake the feeling there's nothing here that has much intrinsic meaning, or rings as canon, to drop a term he has to admit has worn out some welcome in his vocabulary? How does one justify even leaving the house? He thought he was over this. That he got his moping out of his system those first few years on Earthsea and then started getting his life back on track. He got married. He had a kid. That fixes everything, right? He wonders if his intermittent check-ins with Terezi have less to do with her personally and more to do with the gravitating towards someone who's still out there. Someone who can still lay credible claim to a functioning as an agent of relevance. A person who hasn't entirely forfeited their volatile integrity just yet. Like a guy with a wife and a kid. Not a bad joke, he just told himself, he has to admit. But it's not satisfying because it's probably not the answer. The truth is, he thinks he just keeps texting Terezi because she's the only one who knows. He knows who isn't here. John drifts aimlessly through the atmosphere for hours, thinking, but not thinking. The forest below him grows thin, alien. He floats past the border of the Troll Kingdom, where the grass starts to get sparse and gray, and sits down in the quarry, surrounded by bare, thorny bushes. Instead of flowers, they're sprouting throbby yellow pustules. John touches a branch, and one of the pustules bursts, leaking mustard-colored slime everywhere. How can you be homesick for a place like this, John wonders. Then he remembers Terezi once told him about the place she grew up in, a quiet forest of blueberry and cotton candy, a canopy so dense that she had to walk minutes from her house to be exposed to the sun. Even Alternia had beauty in it, but John was sure that Earthsea probably replicates it in the same way it replicates everything else. Thin, garish, and fakety-fake. A bad photocopy with the ink settings turned to a high contrast. A sunrise that casts no shadows. He's been contemplating this melodramatically for maybe 10 minutes, when the sky rips open above him and flashes violent waves of red and green across the landscape. Having dead trolls deposited from the sky like this is far from unusual these days, but what comes plummeting out of the rips of space above isn't troll-shaped at all. It looks more like a meteor, a flash of metal and fire screaming towards the planet, trailing thick black smoke behind. It outpaces the flames for a moment, and John recognizes it. It can't be. There's no way. And yet there's no mistaking it. It's his father's car. A whole ton of white metal oxidizing in the heat. The windows all smashed open. If anyone's in there, he can't make them out. John feels like he watches the car descend and crash against the earth in slow motion. It hits the ground with an impact that reverberates for miles. He's never moved so fast as he does to reach the crater. He skids to a stop at the rim. Below, the car is twisted and steaming, curled into a horrible, jagged edges, but the back half is mostly intact. He sends a thrust of wind through the back of the carriage to blow both doors off and crawls inside to examine the seats, just to make absolutely certain no one was in it when it crashed. The metal of the frame is still so hot that the air around it's sizzling, but John doesn't care. The back seat's a mess. It's smeared with shaving cream, with bits of something strewn about it. He pinches some of the dry, brown, flaky substance and sniffs it. Is this tobacco? Mingled with the shaving cream are red bloodstains, but no flesh or bones or anything signifying the remains of a person. John puts a hand to his chest and sighs with relief? Disappointment? He has no idea what he was hoping to find here. Not his father, right? That would be stupid. Who needs to put eyes on their own father's corpse twice in one lifetime? But then he sees it, a streak of teal smudged along the top ridge of the seat cushion, at the center of a red, bloody handprint. With wide eyes, John reaches out and runs a thumb over it. The chips under his nail, the same consistency as human blood, the same color as Terezi's text. He rubs the flaky crust between his fingers. He only stopped talking to her a few hours ago. Time passes differently out there, as he's often reminded. She wasn't sure. She was so sure she was dying. Was this it? Was this how she... John reels back, nausea sinking into the pit of his stomach. What kind of twist coincidence is this? Why did he find this now? If Terezi was here, why? Who was she bleeding with in the back of his father's car? It finally hits him. Not that he hasn't seen Terezi in years, or that he's ever going to see her again. It was that he was never going to see her again. It was over before it began. John's body was drenched in sweat. He staggers away from the mangled car, his eyes stinging from the heat. He rips off his glasses and looks up at the sky, an unfocused and unspecific field of color and possibility. It looks like a flat canvas to him, yet behind its flatness he knows it stretches back through an infinite expanse of pointlessness. A limitless field of uncaring seems to mock him. He points his eyes at the sympathetic dirt instead. The soft earth seems to beckon him, and he finds himself sinking to his knees, fingers digging into the disrupted soil. It's still warm, humming with the energy from the car's meteoric fall. The sight of his arms stretched out in front of him wraps in his blurry field... Okay. The sight of his arms stretched out in front of him warps in his blurry field of vision, bending and shimmering at the dying light. John realizes he's crying when the first wet droplets fall onto the backs of his hands. They mingle with the dirt around him, turning the comforting earth to sticky mud. He doesn't get it. He never has. A choked sob forces its way out of his chest. His fingers flex into claws, gathering up dirt into his shaking fists. He bears down until his knuckles turn white and his fingernails press sharply into the flesh of his palms. The pain makes him feel real. All he's ever wanted to be is real. No, all he's ever wanted is to be real. Then, if not quite finished with the sky just yet, he turns his gaze upward to give one last angry look. He feels consumed in that moment by the acuteness of his physicality and the overwhelming scale of his cosmic irrelevance. His lungs fill with air, and he releases all his years of pent-up frustration and anger and guilt and doubt and weakness and pain and misery in a blood-curdling shout that sounds more like it's from the mouth of an animal than a man. John screams at the merciless sky until his throat is raw and he has no energy left to cry. No one hears him, and if they had, it wouldn't matter. Dang. Oh gosh, I'm just... Goodness gracious, Meat. I'm so glad I read Meat first. I don't know how I would have... to be fair, I don't know how I would have felt if I read Candy first and then Meat. But Meat, I'm glad I read it first. Epilogue 6. Whoa, 10 years have gone by. 2 minutes before midnight, a teenage boy crosses beneath the neon lights of the Trollish slums, stepping quick and sure-footed atop the cracked pavement, as if this is a path he's walked many times. He's got on a coat 2 sizes too big and a brimmed hat pulled down to hide his distinctive buck-tooth grin. Above him, Jane Crocker's face beams out from a holographic propaganda display, reminding the populace that curfew is in 15 minutes. This boy would like to say that he's too cool and daring to care about curfew, but the sound of Jane's cloying, pre-recorded voice rising above the noisy streets sent an involuntary shiver down his spine. Luckily, the girl he's come to meet does not suffer from the same instinctive Jane-based anxiety. She doesn't have many fears or inhibitions at all. About a block where they usually meet, she swings out of an alleyway and yanks him in by his elbow. She lets loose a shrill, unmasculine noise right into her mouth before she shuts him up with a kiss. After a few minutes of extremely novice makeout session, Harry Anderson and Vriska, both wet-mouthed and short of breath. Oh gosh. Harry Anderson wipes a bit of blood from his bottom lip. Vriska pokes him in the chest and hisses. What took you so long? Hey, give me a break here, Vrisk. My auntie has guards breathing down my neck day and night. Ugh, how'd you get out this time? Harry Anderson rolls his eyes. He has beautiful eyes. He's a pretty successful combination of all his parents' genes, all things considered. He's got his father's infectious grin, his mother's long eyelashes, and his auntie's unusual blue eyes. Gamzee, he was all, yo, Harry, my dog, you go out and get yourself a slice of that prime beef. Vriska, my one true homie. Love is what makes the mother truckin' earth spin on its axis. That being politically neutral, brother. Vriska doubles over laughing at Harry Anderson's impressively spot-on imitation of Gamzee's mullish, lit, and vaguely lewd posture. Harry Anderson starts giggling too. He can't help it. She's so pretty, and her laugh is both cruel and infectious. He always makes sure to point out that he's politically neutral in literally every sentence that comes out of his mouth, even though he's definitely still screwing my aunt. So lame. This is all so lame. And all such deeply unsatisfactory state of affairs. Yeah, I hate sneaking around like this. I wish I could see you every day. Or even, tell my mom that I have a girlfriend so she can stop pestering me about it. Vriska hooks 2 fingers under the hem of Harry Anderson's shirt and reels him close. In that case, why don't we run away and join the rebellion together, Harry Anderson? Wouldn't that be terribly romantic? We could be wild rebels in love like Karkat and Mina. Isn't their story great? I get so inspired thinking about it. Oh, I don't know if I could pull that off, Vriska. I don't really have the, rebellious stature of someone like Karkat Vantas. He's extremely short in real life, I don't know if that's actually true. I think it might be something people assume because of, his personality. Like he's overcompensating or something. I mean, I don't remember him being that short. Oh yeah? Last time you saw him, you were 3 years old. Get real, Harry Anderson. Oh, and when's the last time you saw him? Ha! Nah. Vriska shoves Harry Anderson, not playfully. He hits the bricks behind him with a soft oof, then keeps laughing. Oh my gosh, Vriska, you always talk so big, but you're not any more of a rebel than I am. Oh, shut up. You don't know anything, Harry. My moms are totally gonna get me a prime commission in the Resistance when I turn 16. Yeah, whatever you say, it's true. Until then, guess we'll never know whether it's an official fact that Karkat is short or not. I guess so, but I guess I wasn't talking about his height. I was talking about the eye patch. I mean, I believe in troll rights and everything. I should hope so, but not enough to lose an eye over it. Vriska snorts at him condescendingly. Don't be ridiculous, Harry. She pushes him up against the wall again and kisses him hard. If we really do end up absconding from our mediocre hot teen lives to become rebels, then obviously I'm going to be the one with the extremely dashing and sexy eye patch. It's getting pretty bad down there. Who cares? This is officially something we don't care about, right? I don't know. Is it? This world is inconsequential. Well, there you have it. Aradia lies with her chin on her palms and looks over the edge of the meteor station. Under the shade of night, the cities of the Troll Kingdom form a twinkling filigree over the rocky landscape below. 100 rivers of gossamer lights, all in the colors of the hemospectrum. Jane's fleet is so massive that it blots out the lights of the capital. Is this what Alternia looked like from the sky as well? Aradia lived far from the city, and that seems so long ago. Anyway, Solix comes to stand by her, popping open a can of fizzy drink. Is he taking drugs? Is these drugs? Daruges? Are they daruges? Let's do drugs in the woods. I'm sorry. Okay. Karkat's really gonna fight that war, isn't he? Yeah, I didn't think he had it in him, but apparently all it takes for him to become the hero he was meant to be was for things to get extremely stupid. Like, way more stupid than usual. Yeah, it really is too bad that he's reaching this heroic that's fine. Of his in a world that doesn't matter. Please do not mistake the essence of my words for indifference. When I said this world was inconsequential, I was talking objectively. We've moved far beyond the realm of canon relevance, but on a subjective level, we can view this world as a glass bubble, fragile, solitary, with a surface uncracked. The actions, struggles, and feelings of its inhabitants are certainly not inconsequential to them. While abstracted heavily and fully freed from all forces of narrative gravity, these events still represent possibilities that slept within the hearts of all who reside here. Solix tosses Aradia a can of fizzy drink. She catches it without looking, cracks it open, and takes a long, refreshing sip of the hissing liquid. In that case, I guess we should just keep watching. On Earthsea, months go by at a breakneck pace. Teens fall in and out of love and hate. Alliances change, revolutions fully germinate, wars commence. And somewhere in that mess, John Egbert is the best man at Jade and Dave's wedding. He lasts nearly 2 hours before he gets a ruinous case of the sniffles. The event is being held semi-clandestinely in the mansion of one of Jake's wealthy television executive friends, staged as a reunion party for whichever one of his old stupid television shows people get nostalgic about these days. It's a smokescreen meant to throw the human government off the scent of political radicals like Rose and Kanaya partying just 20 miles from the seat of power. Jake claims there's no way they'll find them, but John sometimes gets the feeling that the whole planet's bugged. After nearly 10 years of unfettered monetary interference in the upper echelons of global hegemony, could anything like this possibly fly under Jane's radar? It can't, right? John likes to think she's not so far gone that she'd tip off the government to send troops to arrest her friends and family on the occasion of her ecto-daughter's wedding. Sorry, I should have said that a bit more mafia, like, John likes to think that she's not too far gone, that she'd tip off the government to send troops to arrest her friends and family on the occasion of her ecto-daughter's wedding. Don't know if that sounded good or not. Probably terrible, and I apologize. Moving on. So he smiles his way through his best man duties and smiles his way again to the gallows humor speech Rose gives at dinner blacklit by the flames of the Imperial drone factories churning away on the horizon. He wears a possibly genuine expression for a few moments as he dips down to give Jade a kiss on the forehead. She looks beautiful in her dress, and Dave doesn't look especially uncomfortable beside her. There is still joy to be found on the eve of a war, Rose says in her speech, but John found precious little to be happy about in this world, even before everything went off the chain. He is conspicuously unaccompanied. Not alone, of course. He's been put in an honored seat at the head of the wedding party with Jade to his left and Rose to his right. But Jade is with Dave, Rose has Kanaya and their daughter, and everyone knows that John has lost his family to Jane Crocker. Well, not literally to Jane Crocker. What drove Roxy away was him being depressed and just an all-out huge wet blanket who was impossible to live with. John is totally ready to own the fact that he was a bad husband. But maybe not the fact that he was a bad enough husband to drive his wife to passively support a brewing genocidal dictatorship. She looks happier, though. She looks happier, though. Whenever she's caught behind Jane, Calliope will be faithful at her side in any of the propaganda broadcasts that Jane passes off as business press conferences. By the time Roxy finally cut things off between them, he hadn't personally seen her smile in years. John has no idea how Harry Anderson is doing, but he definitely caught Vriska texting him under the table when he got up to get another flute of champagne. She's texting Tavros in another window, which is weird, but probably not as weird as John craning his neck to read messages over a teenage girl's shoulder. The idea that Roxy's terrible daughter has more contact with his son than he does makes his eyes start to itch. He wanders out onto the ballroom balcony so that no one else can see him cry for the second time tonight. It's a balmy evening, and John can smell the oil burning in the forge across the harbor. There's someone else occupying the balcony already, and it's not one of the party guests. A shadow, standing in its back to the ocean, arms crossed, gazed fixed firmly on the ballroom windows. John takes a step closer and immediately recognizes Karkat's nubby horns and its distinctive shoulder hunch. Of course. John snorts back his tears and jaunts forward with a jolly wave. Hi, Karkat. Karkat blinks and looks up, startled out of his thoughts. He's grown gaunt since John last saw him in real life. In his Alternian military fatigues, his mittingly awesome eye patch, he looks almost imposing. Kind of dashing, actually. When he opens his mouth, however, he's just the same old Karkat. Hi again, idiot. What are you doing standing out here alone like a creep? Karkat's frown gets deeper and he picks up the red cording that runs down the breastplate of his uniform. I really shouldn't be here. Why not? You were on the guest list. I don't know. Maybe think about it for 10 seconds, John. John chews his lip and thinks about it for 10 seconds. I guess it would be pretty hard to watch if you were still, all heartbroken about it. I wouldn't say I was still all heartbroken about it, but... John joins him at the railing and bumps his shoulder. Karkat groans and runs a hand down his face, obviously still a little heartbroken about it. It's just that breakups are hard and often have unexpected consequences that can linger for years. You're telling me, when my wife left me, she took an entire political faction with her. Those chess guys sure do love Roxy, don't they? Ugh, yeah, the Carpathian Human Alliance has been causing us nothing but pain, to be entirely honest. No one wants to be against the Carpathians. They're harmless. The fact that they didn't even get to vote on whether or not they should ratify the treaty really complicates the matter. The whole thing is a disaster on just about every level. Oh, sorry about that. Oh my gosh, John, stop being so pathetic for just a minute. Could you do that for me? I don't know, that's a pretty big favor you're asking me there, Karkat. Look, I don't personally blame you for any of this. First of all, for you to have anything to do with any massive shift in the geopolitical alliances, that probably would have required your leave. That would probably require you to leave your house for more than a half hour. Wow, good pep talk. I'm 100% over my separation now. Thanks, Karkat. John, seriously though, you do have to get over Roxy eventually. With everything that's going on, can you really afford to waste another 5 years malingering in your bedroom like a piece of garbage? The rebellion could really use a guy like you. If you think that I haven't been given the exact speech you're about to give me, except about 6 or 7 times the length, then you don't know Rose Lalonde. Okay, then what's the problem? You hate what the government is doing as much as the rest of us do. John turns around so that he can rest his elbows on the banister. The angle of the moon is cutting a sharp stroke of light over the water like a blade descending from the night sky to shear the harbor in half. He takes a despondent sip of his champagne and sighs. Don't know. It doesn't seem responsible, really, to dedicate my life to something so important when I'm in a place where I can't even find the energy to think that getting out of bed in the morning is important. In fact, it seems like it would be a pretty selfish thing to do. What if I get distracted because I'm sad? What if I screw up by staring too tragically into the distance on an important mission, and I get killed in a stupid way? John, aren't you technically immortal, specifically in cases of getting killed in a stupid way? Yeah, but you aren't. Neither are most of your followers. Karkat's expression turns hard, regretful. It's a frown made of granite, or some other manly kind of rock that chips easily when dropped. His one eye is glinting bright gold, reflecting the light from the party. He opens his mouth to say something, but is distracted by movement from inside the ballroom. Ah, crap, here comes Dave. I have to get the heck out of here. He fumbles with something at his wrist and then pops out a grappling line. With unexpected smoothness, he hitches it over the edge of the balcony and leaps a railing in a single elegant bound. John watches him rappel down the cliffside until he disappears beneath the precipice shadows. Wow. Karkat grew up to be kind of cool. Who would have guessed? Don't you dare say the Karkat was never cool. No, John, don't do it. John spins on his heel to see Dave in the doorway, holding a bottle of champagne. He looks smart in his three-piece tux, but he's still sporting the same old Stiller's shades, which always served to remind John how hard it is to believe this guy is almost 40. Jeez, are they seriously almost 40? Yes, they're technically immortal. That doesn't mean the encroaching milestone isn't making him feel dizzy nonetheless. Don't do what? Oh, you look pretty bummed when you left the reception, and then I find you staring at the ocean like you just snorted 6 lines of powdered midlife crisis off the bathroom counter. So I guess the joke was like, don't literally commit, not alive like at my wedding, dude, lol. Don't commit not alive at my wedding, it is pretty obvious. But in retrospect, I guess it's not that funny. But seriously, John, do not commit not alive. YouTube, I swear. I wasn't going to do that. I'd miss you, and also it'd bum out Jade pretty bad, and I have thoroughly hitched my star to that Yift terrain, in case you haven't noticed. Yift train? Yeah, you mean I don't want to know. Anyway, I was just, John decides it's probably better not to mention what he was actually doing, and definitely not to mention who rappelled off the balcony with an alarming stealth and grace. Appreciating how pretty the view is. Yeah, I love the sight of the military-industrial complex destroying the landscape in the evening. Come on, that's obviously not what I meant. Dave comes to join John at the banister, gazing out of the water with the look at least as existential as John's. John isn't sure what to say about that, so he wriggles his empty glass, looking for another spot of sparkling social lubricant. Dave tops him off before taking a long swig of the bottle himself. You okay, dude? Having been married once before, I gotta say, it's all kind of overwhelming, huh? Oh, yeah, I guess. I don't know, Jade and I have been together so long, this all just feels like... Dave shrugs. Whatever. I was sort of hoping that, considering that we were working together in the rebellion and everything, I was hoping that Karkat would show. Oh. John looks down and twirls the stem of his glass between 2 fingers. So you're still not over that? The whole Karkat thing? Will I ever be over it? The way I felt about him probably isn't the kind of stuff you just get over. You just sort of live with it, no matter how it turns out. But he's with Mina, and I'm with Jade, and the whole world's going crazy, so what's the point of looking backwards now, right? John swallows a lump down his throat. Terezi's picture is still in his wallet, faded, dog-eared, marred by ragged white lines down the center from being folded and unfolded so many times, deep enough to be called valleys at this point. Right. They fall silent for a moment, soaking up the atmosphere, sipping their booze, contemplating the suckiness of being an adult. Dave lets out a soft laugh and slaps John on the back. John swallows his champagne wrong and starts coughing. Yo, dude, thanks for being my best man. Oh, thanks, man. No problem. 'Cause you are, you're my best bro. My main man, my most devoted dude. Cheers, John. Cheers, Dave. They toast, lip at the glass to rim of the bottle. The sounds rings out above the noise of the party inside. It rises up over the ocean to where the stars are turning and dawn is already breaking on some other part of the planet. That's how the years pass, faster and faster the longer it goes. For those living on this iteration of Earth's scene like John and Dave, it appears to be an illusion of age. An old adage of... Is it adage or adage? about perception changing the older you get. The days get shorter, the more the regrets pile up. That's only part of it. Above this earth, the dead cherub is still meditating, waiting for the day when she will have her own heroic apotheosis. Waiting for the day when she can confront the one she calls the prince. And on this earth, John is still waiting for the day that feeling finally stops. That feeling that he's still wanting for something, and the even worse feeling that years ago he missed his only chance to put an end to it. If you stand on a very high hill at dawn, you can watch your shadow move in an arc around you. 10 years to the day he last spoke with Terezi, John finally gets rid of her photograph. He stands at the top of the very high hill, rips it into 6 pieces, and lets the wind carry it away. Whatever happens now, it doesn't matter. Jeez. Candy is so depressing.
Hey there. Consider becoming a patron, just like the phenomenal Gerald Thomas and Bleed Red.